Here we go. So we are on
Yes,
episode
we are
10.
on. Yes.
Hello, people. Hello, everyone. Trying to follow our weird speech and our, let's say, problematic setups. but
After last messed up, that I had to pull down that video.
but we keep, let's say, getting better at getting worse. So the
Yeah,
still like
sure, sure,
improvement.
sure. Yeah, at least. So yeah, thank everybody who managed to listen. Hopefully, both of us. Let's please drop a like if you can hear both of us. That's like a milestone for me on how to be fixing all of this. Uh, thank you for being over here. We are on. Where we are trying to bring some talks, bring some approaches on how to consume information, how to tackle what we read, what we even live, and also try to bring a little bit of light into the whole mess. Sometimes we can be with all the social medias and all the information that is back and forth all around us. Um, Well, we always do a mini disclaimer over here that so because we are take an example, we take some articles and that kind of stuff. We would like to we try to work around that, give some examples on how to tackle what I just said, right? But keep in mind that we are not experts in most of these topics, so we just try to be at ground level, boots on the ground, and we might sometimes forget to say something, or maybe we get a concept incorrect or something like that, which is fantastic if we can get the feedback or the correction and so on, so on, and on the comments. So we will always appreciate that. Um, so today on the tenth episode, I mean, seriously, like I
I
think
mean,
it's been kind of weird.
almost 3 months. We
Almost
used,
3 months, almost, yeah, yeah. It's like
I mean,
it's interesting.
we are
It's
barely
interesting.
dating 3 months.
Yeah. So today we're gonna go hopefully a little bit more relaxed and more discussion kind of stuff. I'll try to make a fast read of something about influence or people with influence, the consequences of the words and the responsibility that we have to whatever we say, right? Even us over here, even though few people can listen to us or hear us. But before we go to that, we all usually like to share a couple articles. Today you are bringing us two articles
Yeah.
over here, right, Giovanni? So what's up with this? You have a very big fascination with yeah, Latin America and
I,
its music.
okay, let's say I like music. Something you perhaps don't know. So, and I'm polyhedric with music, and so I like to listen to Latin music. And I think, well, Resident. I really like Resident because it talks. It's very, let's say, he has his own genre on music, in my opinion. So he mix a lot of styles, and so I really like. And there are some lyrics that are very, very powerful. And this, what happened is he did a song. I mean, long time ago. It was called El Aguante. If you don't know that, I suggested that because it's really nice in my opinion.
Mhm.
And what happened that something is going on in Colombia with with the reform of the tributary system, if I'm not wrong. And people are using El Aguante as sort of protest. And also Residente gave a shout out to the people of Colombia, even though he's from Puerto Rico, he's Boricua. But he gave a shout out to the people protesting against this tributary reform. And what happened is that YouTube Colombia decided to put El Aguante as a, let's say, a content of how to say uh,
Inappropriate content.
content. So it's very, I mean, it's controversial. I just mounted it because I follow Residente, I follow what he does, and I say, wait, what's going on here? I knew that there was something going on in Colombia. No, I knew that he was active on that, but I
Hmm.
wasn't sure to make this kind uh, um, of censorship, because it's basically a censorship. So, but let's see how it evolves. For what I know, they are actually about the tributary reform. They are pulling back. So the government seems that they are pulling back after all the protests. But that apart, what I was interested into is the local censorship that the song received.
Okay, that's kind of cool, and obviously it's going to be a little bit related even to what we're going to be talking. And the second one.
Mm. And that's very like it's just chill. I I just go. I was
Chill.
just going to chill. I mean, it's a chill reading. Come on, don't get it personal just because it's in Mexico. And
No, I don't think this is chill. It's like I haven't read this obviously, but it's like okay, so suddenly you find hands painted on rocks. It's like that's creepy, not chill.
well, I just
What's
so I
that? The
was
chupacabras over here? What's just man? You're trying to bring some Santeria over here? Trying to read the witches?
you see, it's all of this. It's all a matter of this. The triangle, you know. There's some UFO. But anyway, no, it's just I was going through some articles and I bounced it and they said Mexico, what's going on? And so what I thought it was cool about this article is that they found out that these signs and the colors that they were using in the print, let's say, of the ants
Mm-hmm.
are telling something about either is about a rituals or a specific moment of a certain life. It seems that they are not too old. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the people that made mm, those signs were not too old in their life. So I think it's something cool because it's not a common finding, and also the message that they were trying to give in the period of life they were living is something quite new. So yeah,
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny how the Mayans have been always known for many stories. There are always hypotheses, myths, and a lot of things, mysterious things around into that. And I just wonder, like, if there is the actual mysticism, or it's just people looking at Jesus in a toast, you know. So I really don't know, but I mean at the end it's kind of cool seeing this kind of stuff, this kind of discoveries. It's always kind of funny, and it actually makes you think what's gonna happen like 1,000 years from now if we pay attention to all the people who are like always putting marks on stones, like Billy loves Jaina and that kind of stuff, right? It's like
went forever like BF.
sure.
Can you
So
imagine like in 1,000 years they will see BF for E? What kind of message that was? Like,
yeah, exactly. Like it was aliens, but anyway. Yeah. Okay. So well, so that's that. It was kind of interesting. So now let's try to get a little bit onto the nitty gritty over here. And by the way, if you see a weird experiment over here in my lower part, right? So I try to put a couple articles, not necessarily the specific ones that brought me a little bit of the inspiration for today, but it is end up relating into the influence, people who are influenced, and how we even process when someone is giving us information. So to start up, I'm gonna try to do like a small reading over here. So to get in the topic is like it is not a secret that we all look for role models, inspirational people. We look to have agreement among us or validation from somewhere else. even though many times in many posts also there's these messages that just be yourself, don't be look for approval. In a way and at a level, we are always looking for something like that because that's what bounds us in a way, right? I said it a long time ago that we are like tribal animals, right? So because we are that kind of structure, we compose ourselves in hierarchies, right? It doesn't matter um, if it's an obvious one or it's not, but we always have some kind of structure. That's why we have hierarchies in families or companies or the most obvious is governments, right? Uh, Now, for especially for the last two, right? Because with families, it's going to be a little bit difficult. We, in theory, try to appoint the people who are more qualified. Yeah, that's in theory, right? Because if we go in with true honesty, is not the case, especially for us, is very evident nowadays. Uh, Now we we have another section of people, yeah, that is a part of the government or companies, right? Uh, and this I identify well. I mean, everybody identifies them nowadays as influencers, and they are not traditional authorities. Or sometimes I really don't know if I could call them authorities, but they do apply what the word says. They have influence in people. And where can we see that power be placed in? Well, this don't fall over there.
I don't know what.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cut off of my momentum. Uh, so well, I was saying like these people do influence, like for example, our consuming habits or opinions or actions, right? One of the last records, it was even the market with Elon Musk, right? He said one word and then everybody start moving in a way, right? Well, everybody in a certain sector, right? Like we know the majority of people do not have access to all these kind of the things that we are talking about in that specific example, right? So
Take an example like the stock market.
yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to say with the Elon Musk. Like the influence that he had, it was incredible, right? So yeah, so we have this category of people, and we might identify some very obviously. We might identify actresses, actors, and so on, so on. Uh, but it's going to be at different levels, different scales, and different professions, right? The inspiration for me in this about this kind of topic came out last week. For many people, will sure they will know who Joe Rogan is, right? He came out saying something about if a 20-something-year-old is eating healthy and is doing exercise and yada yada, uh, he shouldn't take, or he or she shouldn't take the vaccine, right? And afterwards, in an interview, the authority, the health of the Anthony Fauci, I think it is, the dependency, the director, whatever, from the dependency, the maximum authority on health in the United States, end up coming in an interview, and it was asked about these comments from this person, right? And afterwards, Joe Rogan not necessarily apologized, but he was kind of like, hey, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm not saying don't take the vaccine. I'm just saying is like there is like try to fix what he said, right? And also adding like he was saying like I'm a moron, like I'm not a qualified person, putting that kind of stuff. It is kind of important, the thing. This is really important what he is saying from the beginning to the end, because that's one of the people who apparently is like it's the biggest podcast there is. So there are at least hundreds of thousands of people listening to this guy, and at the same time the echoing of his message outside of the podcast situation, right? By the traditional news media and that kind of thing. And it will drive the attitude of people towards something. Yeah. Whether he would like to admit it or not. The words of people like him do have weight. So before I continue with all this rambling over here, I would like to say that oh, have something over here. Sorry. I would like to just kind of emphasize how also is very difficult to for everybody to expose ourselves to uncomfortable situations. And by uncomfortable situations, I mean like whatever, even cold water, right? And it's funny to me why actually these kind of people, especially like or athletes, military and that kind of stuff, they are always praising that, oh, be uncomfortable and be uncomfortable and be uncomfortable. But when it comes to concepts, ideas, speeches, and that kind of stuff, it is really challenging for these people, or at least I have seen that. It's really difficult to withdraw the comment, to admit there was something incorrect, or to reconsider the concept that these people do. So it's like, it seems that it is more hard to be uncomfortable admitting that I am not right, that I am wrong. Yeah. So from there, I think it was a very long introductory kind of stuff. So I would like you to just first of all, okay. So what do you think about all this mumbo jumbo that is in my mind right now?
Well, so taking just, I mean, when we were talking, you brought this example about Joe Rogan. I don't follow his post, to be honest. I didn't know what happened.
You're a gym
And,
bro. You should.
and I want to be myself, like not being influenced.
No, 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 no.
No, but jokes aside. So what I thought at first was, I think we all try to to believe that we have our own theories and our own ideas, and we have to carry them on in order to be sure that we can commit to those ideas and those theories. So what I mean with that is, as I said, we sometimes, not sometimes, we many times feel ourselves uncomfortable to admit that we were wrong. Because once you admit you are wrong, let's say part of the castle can start to have some fear to break. Right?
What do you think? Let me start jumping out with the questions over there. What do you think we tend to be afraid of being wrong?
Well, because in my own opinion, that's what it's all about. I mean, our our idea of us, our as an individual, as a self, is based on that. It's based on being uh, having this concept, having this idea of having all the structure, principle, and etc. that are static. So if I have some assumption, I have to follow those assumptions, because if I don't, if I change the path, I will kind of lose my way. And if I lose my way, I'm lost. So that's the idea I have when it comes to admitting that we are wrong. That's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Then comes to another part, which is, I don't know, this perhaps you might know more. It is just an assumption of mine, that it's something very part of the society. Not society meaning in the society we are living, blah blah. But it comes from perhaps the the fact that you have to impose yourself. Okay? So the idea of having the truth in order to impose yourself as a person and as and your ideas in order to get the following of people. I mean, people following you, people
Mm.
following your view. That gives you, and like in recent times even more, with social media, etc., with the influencers, it gives you more power.
Mm-hmm.
In the society. And so if you go against what you said, if you admit you're wrong, that shit, that thing will fall a bit. So there are these two things coming together. One I think is more perhaps from the ancestry, so it's based on our way of developing ourselves in the society.
Mm.
The other one is the one I said before, is more about unconsciousness, lack of capacity of skills of admitting that we might change the past. Comes
Okay.
with these things.
Sorry, what?
I mean, it comes with these two things. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if out of my mind. So I don't know if there is anything based, any researches, or I don't know. Just
No, yeah, I would be interested if, for example, for this, sometimes like bring like actual research, but I don't know, like it is like more deep in that kind of stuff. You know, like what sometimes, like, I guess we can be afraid of being wrong, like something like it's like denying ourselves, right? Or being seen weak. Yeah. So I think it could be something around that. Now, also I think it is. I don't know how to say this one. The thing is that when we say something to an audience, uh, a lot of people apparently like to speak from the heart, right? And if we speak only from the heart, we are not paying some. We might not be paying attention to what we are saying, right? Uh, and because speaking from the heart is a very emotional kind of thing. Also admitting that you were wrong is denying the emotions, and then like in this and you can trigger defenses more easily when you are emotional, and that kind of training into have the humble part or the rational part to say, okay, you are right here, or I can conceal over here, and yada yada. That's something that is, I can't recall if someone has talked about that, and I wish so hard that the people who have the most influence would have the courage to be more responsible with the words they say. Uh, like for example, you have presidents, right? You have presidents saying like, no, we are like we like free speech and free press and that kind of stuff. And I am like, for example, I am like for free speech and yada yada. But the reporters need to be careful with the people outside, you know? So when you say something like that, especially when you know you have a fan base that is supporting you, it's a very indirect threat, you know? And that kind of stuff for me is like super triggering because you don't, these people do not have the courage to be upfront with a threat or that kind of stuff, right? Uh, I guess it's kind of hypocritical and that kind of stuff. Now with comedians, it's also another example where I'm like, oh, like seriously, is it's the cowardly of these people, right? Because they have this free I'm a comedian card, you know, and It is true that comedy is a very useful tool. Uh, I just heard someone saying that comedians are the canaries in the mining tunnels. Do you know what that means?
No.
So it is historically people who work in the mines. They usually bring used to bring a canary, because if there was some kind of gas or something that was hazardous, the first thing to die, it was the canary. Yeah. So comedians tend to be this fantastic tool to see where is acceptable, like the limits of something that is acceptable. So I agree. I love it. But I also see some kind of like cowardly, I will say, that when they say something like they say something that they know is inappropriate or it will create a reaction, right? And they don't have I think I have heard like one or two from all the people that I like maybe 20 people that I like to follow in that regards, but they have been like, yeah, I knew this was going to like having accountability of what they are saying, you know, like they are trying to hide like, oh, it was just comedy, it was just a prank, bro, you know, that kind of stuff. So and it's sad because a lot of these people, especially nowadays, people look for them. Yeah. And they
Yeah,
will pay attention and they will believe what they say, you
I
know.
mean, that's to be clear in my opinion. I think, let's say, for example, sticking to the comedian example, comedian have always been there, and perhaps I'm not sure about that, but perhaps the role of the comedian never changed, and what the comedian does never changed. And what changed is the influence they can have, the audience they can reach. And so, if you expand the audience, you will also expand the the, the subjects and the individuals that are following you, and they can be different. So, if before the only audience you were having was offline, like stages, for example, there were certain people going to attend your stage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right now, you can reach out for anyone, and perhaps so the audience might have been changed, but the role that the comedian is having and the responsibility that is taking didn't change. So,
Mm-hmm. uh let me wait, because I
again,
wanted to I want to show you something that I just came out into my yes, here it is.
heavy.
So I'm gonna give you a perfect example. If you haven't seen this movie, or if anybody over here that watches this, if you have not seen this movie, you need to see this movie, because it's now it just struck me. Right now, it just, from some things that you were saying, it just came out to my mind. And it's exactly like, right now it's easier to have a massive influence, right? Because the access. And in the other hand, it's also like the part that I'm saying that we might think is not that we might think that the words of a comedian do not have much weight, but then suddenly can we can be, I don't want to say, but okay, manipulated into start believing something, or start creating a belief. So just very quick, this movie, if you haven't seen this movie, you need to see this movie. I could actually be talking like 1 hour about this. And
Never heard about that, but
oof, it's an incredible movie. It's very good. And I will not say, maybe if you will see it, if you see it in this week, we talk about it next time.
I
But
will.
yeah. So so just to keep ourselves on time, I think my final thought over here would be that it is very important that us as audience, and us when we are speaking to someone in terms of educating or giving an opinion, we need to be careful to what we are saying, careful with the words that we are saying, because we also are using vocabulary very like hyperbole, right? I think we talked that one time some time ago about we just say words that they don't mean what they mean. So we need to be careful how do we address. I know this requires an effort, but I think we have a responsibility on how do we address each other, and also to understand and meditate what the people who might be of our liking, and that if we find ourselves agreeing way too much with someone, we would be good to like see where this person is not necessarily correct. I think it is a very healthy practice to find somewhere to disagree in a healthy way. Yeah, I always say I cannot be agreeing with someone all the time. Yeah, like I will die in the hill of no bachata in my house. Well, maybe I will eat my words one time. But anyway, so those are my final words in this topic. So I don't know how you want to close this one up.
There was an economist. People will hate me for quoting an economist, but I will not say the name. There was an economist that when was debating, and he found out that he was having the same idea, so it was on the same way of the person that he was debating with. He was saying, okay, let's stop debating. I mean, we don't need to keep talking if we have the same opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I totally agree with what you said as a conclusion, and I think with that sometimes we have to. There are occasions where we can be emotional, according to when you are perhaps you are intimate enough with the people you are talking to. Okay, so in that case we can let's just let the emotion go. But in many cases we have to be rational in our emotions. Okay, it's kind of weird to say, but we have to learn to be rational when it comes to any given topic. Okay, according to we have to adapt on the surrounding that we are into. That's, in my opinion, the best way. Being able to adapt on the surrounding and acting accordingly is the best way to kind of grow, like that self growth and self awareness and understanding the individual itself.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's, that's my
Final statement. Okay. Well, so then if it's that, once again, we thank everybody to stick up with us. Again, give us some feedback, drop a like, subscribe. We're trying to get one time like more than 100 views at least. I like these milestones, people. So yeah, so thank you very much, and
we were on.
we were on. So bye bye.